You're watching Behind the Screens. Grab some popcorn, fill up a drink, and take a seat. Our feature presentation is about to begin.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time zone you may be listening. Welcome back to another brand new episode of Behind the Screens. I'm Chris Chason, and joined as always is my co-host and best friend, Mike Lakewid. Mike, how you doing tonight, my friend?
I'm doing very well today, Chris, and I'm very happy to be back for another television segment of Behind the Screens.
Oh yeah, so, with the success of the first volume of RWBY, Rooster Teeth had a successful franchise on their hands, so a second volume was in high demand.
Exactly. A second season was very much inevitable, and I believe the fact was the process of making this show, there was no pre-production for every season. As soon as season 1 was done, they started working on season 2 almost seamlessly.
Well, that's how long-running animated shows do it. How do you think they have so many seasons of The Simpsons or South Park?
Yeah, I suppose so. They have to just wait in there, just wait maybe a little while to give the characters a chance to breathe.
Shows always have their hiatuses, so it's not so bad. But it's just churning out, and that's how anime works.
Exactly. Season 2 of RWBY would up the ante in almost every single way possible, with better animation, twice the characters, twice the action, twice everything, and it all worked for the season's benefit.
A lot of twos used there. Must be Tuesday.
Yeah, we don't get paid to write this podcast.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
So, let's dig into Volume 2 and see what we're dealing with here.
Yep, and of course, what better way to dig in than at the beginning, with, of course, the very first episode of Season 2, Best Day Ever.
Oh, yeah.
We cut back to the city of Vale, in which the owner of the dust shop that was seen in the very first episode collectively joked as Old Man Shopkeep, because the guy seems to own every shop in the town, even though nobody knows how he does it.
Surprisingly.
He is seen putting up a reopening sign above his store after it's been repaired following the Season 1's robbery of it from Roman Torchwick.
Yep.
Lowering himself from the ladder he used to put up the opening sign, he falls, but is helped up by Emerald, played by Katie Newell. Which, of course, you guys may remember Emerald and her associate Mercury from the Season 1 finale, but they weren't fully animated or had any voice lines in that yet.
Thank God that's been fixed.
Yep. Emerald has a very much interesting design with her style of clothing, especially her hairstyle and her eye color.
Absolutely.
All very much going together with bright green hair with red eyes. Very much an interesting design.
Yeah.
She shows him in a dress and asks him if she knows where it is, stating that she's not really from around these parts. And of course she isn't.
Huh.
Basically, after the old man gives her the directions, she then heads off, only to be stopped by Mercury Black, her associate. His outfit is very good. Let me tell you.
It is, yeah. It's really cool.
With the very pale skin he has, with the gray eyes, gray hair, and especially the gray shoes, with his amazing iconic boots. Let me tell you.
Oh yeah.
That. In this season, he's played by J.J. Costello, and his performance is rather flat, to say the least.
Yeah, it's him for this and the next season, right?
No, this season
just
only.
Then, and then the rest. Oh, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Something we'll be sharing with you.
And is J.J. was he an employee at Rooster Teeth?
Yes, he was.
That's what I thought.
They basically recruited from in their own ranks once again. Katie was the then girlfriend of Monty's apprentice, and of course, I found it very nice.
Hold on. Wait, who was Monty's apprentice again? Was it Miles?
No. Shane Newell.
Okay, gotcha.
I believe they were the girlfriend engaged or something for like a time. I'm pretty sure they're not together anymore though.
Right.
But she still kept the last name. Katie's performance as Emerald is very snarky. She always seems to be very much in control and very aggressive, but that all plays well into her character later on.
We'll get there.
Basically, he accuses her of being lost. After some banter where it's revealed that Emerald stole Old Man Shopkeep's wallet, the two begin walking to their destination while talking about their opposing feelings about the city of Vale. Mercury hates the thought of big cities because they're full of idiots just waiting to be robbed or killed, while of course Emerald sees in this an opportunity for basically something better, if not a big thought, but still.
Yeah, that's the whole thing.
They soon get to Tuxon's book trade, where they meet the owner, Tuxon. Emerald asks Tuxon if he has certain books for sale, and then turns the conversation to a much more threatening tone when she mentions the book known as Third Crusade. Of course, he doesn't know what she's talking about at first. All the while, Mercury is dimming the lights inside the shop. Emerald explains that the White Fang would not be happy to hear that Tuxon is planning to flee all the way to Vacuo. So it shows that Tuxon is a faunus in disguise trying to do his wares and work inside the city, because as we established last season, the faunus don't really have that good of a relationship with ordinary people.
That's very true.
And of course, he's basically a soldier diverting, and they're here to take care of him or make sure that he doesn't talk to anybody important. Basically, all the while, Tuxon attempts to fight back by extending his front claws and leaping at them, wanting not to go down without a fight.
So he pulled a Wolverine.
Basically, however, Emerald expertly dodges his attack while Mercury kicks the guy in the face and fires his weapon, blowing the guy's head straight off. It's like,
Jesus.
I love that scene.
That scene was brutal but awesome to look at.
Nighty-night. Just blast the guy apart. The scene then cuts to Emerald and Mercury leaving the store, Mercury having stolen one of the guy's comic books. And I gotta say, I love these two immediately.
They're fun. They're fun together.
They're excellent minor villains. And let me tell you, they offer a very nice breeze, because the first season really didn't have any villains outside of maybe Cardin on the school grounds.
Yeah, and of course there was Torchwick, but
Torchwick being his normal campy self for only a little bit, only to set up events for this season.
Yep.
But these two, the first real sign of actual threatening villainy, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Meanwhile, we cut back to Beacon Academy, where Ruby meets with the rest of her team in the dining hall and talks to her team about how they should spend their last day of break before they go into their second semester of school. Meanwhile, Nora keeps flinging food at Yang, who happily eats it, like grapes and stuff like that. It's honestly really funny.
Yeah.
Ruby continues to talk, and Blake and Weiss try to converse back with her, but of course Yang and Nora's food fight becomes more intense until Weiss gets hit in the face with a cream pie. It's
wow. That's very clownish.
I love this exchange so gosh darn much. It's all down to the little tiny bits. Blake is drawing pictures of Adam in her diary, and I'm just thinking how he's always on her mind, even when she's trying to forget all the crap that they did together.
Tell me about it.
And the fact that Weiss is still trying to maintain control over things, even though she's very much mellowed out after the events of Season 1.
You sure about that?
I would definitely say she's mellowed out a lot. She's still annoying sometimes.
There it is.
But I still love her very much.
She's getting there.
Yes, but of course, when she got hit in the face with the pie, that was just the cream of the crop.
That was funny.
Outside the hall, we once again see Sun Wukong, who is actually talking to another member of his team. His team from Vacuo has now fully made it to Beacon. This is Neptune. Neptune Vasilias, or whatever the last name is. I can never pronounce it right.
I think it's Vasilia. No. That's totally not right. I think it's Vasilias. I don't know.
Neptune is played by Carrie Shawcross, aka the other writer self-insert character of the show. I will talk more about Neptune once we're done with this episode before we move on to other things. Basically about keeping his cool because Sun is trying to introduce him to all his new friends inside. He also lets slip the fact that Blake is a faunus and asks Neptune to keep it a secret. Which, of course, he's the cool guy in every anime. The guy who wears the best clothes, has the shining teeth, the best hairstyle.
Basically the one that the girls always go to.
Yeah, the mother Justin Bieber ninja-looking dude. Like, I swear to
So, something akin to Sasuke from Naruto.
No, Sasuke.
Okay, to be fair though, Sasuke's cool in an emo sense. Neptune's cool in a,
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I'm pretty sure, like, another character, like Yosuke Hanamura from Persona 4.
There you go.
Very upbeat guy who's trying to be cool all the time, but no one takes him seriously.
That works.
And then, of course, we can see inside the dining hall a massive food fight is breaking out. Jean has been flung against one of the windows. Very funnily, too. I love that. The dude is so pathetic, he can't even stop somebody from throwing his ass.
Slapstick, it's fun.
Oh my god. Basically, let me check what's going on here. So, they go inside the dining hall to find all the students running away out of fear because they don't want to be involved in the massive food war that is being taken apart inside the dining hall between Teams RWBY and Team Juniper.
Yeah, so basically the rest of this episode is just a giant food fight.
This food fight scene is legendary.
Yes.
Let me tell you, I have never seen a better animated fight scene than this fight right here.
Despite how silly it is, I can't help but love it. It's just too fun to watch. Like, when you know the war starts, when Nora's screaming out, I'm queen of the castle, and the tables are stacked up to look like a tower, I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
we're in trouble.
It's so fantastic, and of course Nora shouting stuff, and like RWBY shouting, "Justice will be swift. It'll be
delicious.
It'll be delicious."
Ah! And then the fight begins.
They all just start charging at each other. Monty's ability to use the props to the character's benefit was always something I loved about the first few seasons. The entire scene feels alive, and not even the best animated. Because that's the thing about Monty. He could make the most unconventional form of looking something in media and make it feel more alive than anything else I've ever seen.
Which is very surprising.
Exactly. The characters pick pairs to fight off, but eventually all of Team RWBY is knocked out except for RWBY, who basically unleashes her amazing semblance on her opponents, making up a giant food whirlwind that knocks all of Team Juniper out with one slice.
And not to mention the fact, makes amazing art on the wall with cutouts of those teammates that she's destroyed.
Yep. Okay, so basically after the fight, Sun shows great enjoyment, but of course Neptune is covered in grape soda that everybody threw at each other like grenades. However, all of the fun is stopped when Galinda comes in very angry that she has to clean up everything.
Buzzkill.
Let me tell you, the magic she uses with her telekinesis to put the dining hall back together is better than anything I'd seen in any of the Harry Potter movies.
What?
Let me tell you.
Whoa.
It was so seamless.
That's a bold take right there.
I take it very personally.
I'll give you
Yes,
that. I will admit though, I have seen good magic in the Harry Potter series. They got nothing on this.
Basically, Yang comes crashing back down because somebody knocked her out of the damn hall and into the sky.
Yeah, because apparently I think Pura yeeted her out of the ceiling.
Yeah.
I'm like, how the hell is she still alive?
Or plot convenience, either which way.
Yeah, I guess.
I would say that she at least broke her funny bone on the way down.
Well, that doesn't explain the puns.
Yeah, it's true. Okay, so basically, Galinda is very frustrated with the group, saying that these are supposed to be Remnant's mightiest heroes. They basically beat each other up with sandwiches. Yes, but Osmond has a much more calm and cool, collected answer.
Yeah,
They're
and
children. They will be warriors one day, but let them enjoy their youth because one day it'll all be gone and they'll never get it back.
That sounds like it'd be something very important.
Yeah, but I bet it means nothing.
Yeah, it's probably just a throwaway line. But yeah, I guess it's one way to say this episode is just basically childhood innocence brought to an extreme.
Yeah, because it's...
Come on, I'm sure I'm sure someone has been in at least one food fight in their lifetime.
Yep. Okay.
Thankfully, we haven't.
That night, to basically mirror the conversation that RWBY has with her friends, we then have all the villain factions meeting up together in a warehouse by the docks. Supposedly, the police didn't check this warehouse when they did that last semester.
Good going, guys.
Basically, Emerald and Mercury return to Roman, who is even funnier in this season than he was in the first one.
True.
And I cannot even believe that is possible. Basically, they go to an abandoned warehouse. Roman steals the paper with the bookstore's address from Emerald's pocket and questions the two about why they went there. The three of them back and forth between each other before Roman threatens them. However, it's all stopped when Cinder makes her full-on first appearance. Jessica Negri owns the scenery in this.
Yeah.
The very sadistic way she walks toward them with her slippers like that.
The good thing is that
the scene.
Yeah, it's a good thing to have the actors chewing the scenery and not the other way around. But,
exactly.
I mean, yeah, it is pretty good.
Basically, Cinder criticizes Roman for not doing the task that he was supposed to do. Emerald and Mercury basically for doing all that. Roman for not taking care of Tuxin sooner than rather than later. And for them for disobeying her orders to basically keep a low profile. And of course, it shows that Cinder is very commanding. She's
Yes,
very...
a little too commanding if you ask me.
Don't think. obey. And it's like, ooh, this woman gives me the chills.
Yeah, where I get a cold sore.
Yep. Okay, so basically she then berates all of them, but then basically says that Roman says that she's been too busy collecting all the bullets for whatever they're doing, a plan that they haven't shared with him yet. A reason that we'll get to later, why they don't share their full plan with him. Basically, Mercury calls him a common thief, but then he retorts that says that he's basically the biggest crime boss in the city now. And of course, he wished that he knew more about the plan so that he could be of much more assistance. Of course, Cinder has a very simple answer for him. They will tell him what he needs to know when he needs to know it. And only that, as her eyes glow red with fire.
Oh, great.
But then, of course, she says, by the way, we're done with Dust. Basically, them collecting all those bullets in the first season meant absolutely nothing because we're never going to see more of that.
Oh, great.
Basically, it's like it was a complete waste of everybody's time. Oh my god. But then, of course, Roman asks what's next. They decide to move the warehouse and all the goods inside of it to a secret location. That things are moving to Phase 2. And, of course, Roman grumbles that he will be back in charge if it's the last thing he ever does, probably. However, Emerald has stolen his lighter, proving that she is the better thief.
Yeah, surprisingly.
And of course, we then cut to the theme song. Season 2's premiere song, Time to Say Goodbye, is an excellent ballad.
It is really
hard
good.
rockin' song that just bellows out the guitar as hard as it possibly can, while of course leaving some very good foreshadowing bits inside each and every one of the lyrics.
Yeah, give it a few episodes, you'll see.
Basically, who are we born to fight and die, sacrificed, and all that? Are we heroes keeping the peace, or are we the weapons pointed at the enemy so someone else can claim a victory? It's like,
wow, that's bone chilling.
It really, really is just how basically, and of course, the main chorus sums up the theme of this season perfectly. Time to say goodbye to the things we love, to the innocence of youth. Our time seems to fly from our carefree lives and the solitude and peace we always knew.
You could say it's like a sort of like a metaphor for growth.
Yeah, basically time to say goodbye to your childhoods because it'll be gone before you know it.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, before we give our rating, we cannot mistake the food props that all the characters use instead of their actual weapons. RWBY uses steel trays as a skateboard. Weiss uses a swordfish instead of her pincer.
I think, Rami, who uses chickens? Like roast turkeys? Did Yang do that?
Yang
used roast turkeys to fire.
Basically using turkeys as boxing gloves.
Of course.
Which I thought is amazing. Blake uses a long wind of sausage as a ninja rope.
Well, that's fit, because it's like, when I saw that, I'm reminded of the second Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie where Michelangelo beat these Foot Clan soldiers with nunchucks made out of sausages.
Yep. Jean does not use any food props, though, because he doesn't really get any intricate fight scenes because he's not that great of a fighter yet.
Well, consider the fact he was also knocked against the wall.
Yeah, that's true. Nora uses a pole with a watermelon like a sledgehammer.
Of course she does.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
And of course we had Pyrrha using French bread, a baguette, as two swords.
Of course.
Which I think that is fantastic. And of course Ren uses leeks as short blades.
Oh, wow.
Which I'm thinking is like, this is so freaking sweet. I can't tell you enough, my friends. The Best Day Ever is probably one of the two best premieres of all 8 seasons of RWBY.
Yeah, because this episode just like it fires on all cylinders. It brings all the fun and humor of the previous season back, fixes a few things, makes the fight choreography amazing to watch, and it's just a fun episode to watch. It's one of those episodes you can never get tired of watching, even though you know everything if you watch it like a bajillion times over.
Exactly.
So, with that said, though, it's honestly one of the best episodes of the whole show, but that affects my opinion on Volume 2, but we'll get there. So, as of now, I'll give it around an 8.5 out of 10, because it's that solid of an episode, and it just really hooks you back into the wonders of the show.
Yep, exactly. This episode was a marvel to behold on both the physical and metaphysical sense. Basically, the foreshadowing, the very much improvement on the writing and storytelling, the characters' interactions, the jokes, the fight choreography.
Of course.
Everything was a million times better in this episode, and I can't wait to continue talking about the future installments.
Oh, yeah.
As such, Best Day Ever wholeheartedly receives an A letter ranking.
An A for RWBY. Nice.
Yep. Now let's go into Episode 2, Welcome to Beacon.
Oh, boy.
Several airships arrived outside of Beacon Academy, and Osmond and Galinda are surveying the situation from up above in Osmond's office, which we can basically see is built out of the Academy's clock tower.
Of course it is.
The two then talk about who is commanding all of these amazing Atlesian airships, but none other than the leader of the Kingdom of Atlas, not to mention the headmaster of its academy, General James Ironwood, played by Jason Rose.
Okay, yeah. So General Ironwood is a very interesting character.
Very complex and mysterious.
Yeah, and but as of now, I like him. He's a cool character.
Jason plays the character very well. A very big contrast to like Osmond. General Ironwood basically presents himself as very stoic and very by the book. Basically a no-nonsense type of guy.
He's like that guy that takes action no matter what.
Exactly.
He's sort of like Captain America in a way. If he sees a situation pointed south, he can't ignore it and just goes right into action.
Exactly.
Whereas Ozpin just lets the chips fall where they may and sees what happens and only intervenes when necessary.
Exactly. They basically talk about that James is under a lot of stress because he has to run both the military and the kingdom simultaneously.
Yeah, because of that. So we didn't get into the old government aspect of RWBY. So each of the kingdoms are run by councils. General Ironwood serves two seats on that council.
Yes.
As the headmaster of Atlas Academy and the head of Atlas's military.
Yes.
It's a lot to juggle with.
It really, really is, and we'll see that as we move forward with this series altogether. Ironwood then comes into the room and is greeted by Osmond and a rather blunt Galinda, who shoves him off. You could tell that they've had history in the past.
How much you want to bet Galinda and Ironwood had a little...
I would love to believe that they were a couple many years ago, but things fell through at the very last second.
Oh yeah, totally.
But of course, will we ever find out? Spoilers. No, we won't.
Nope.
Oh my god.
We'll get into the specifics.
So basically, Galinda walks out of the office, seemingly annoyed, as Ironwood makes note that she hasn't changed a bit. And of course, Ironwood and Osmond then engage in a conversation, with Osmond pointing out that he's concerned about having military ships outside of his school. Ironwood says that the concern is what led him to bring the fleet to Vale in the first place. Osmond brings up that the world is currently living in a time of peace, 80 years of no war or violence whatsoever, and that they can't shake that up by bringing a giant military force halfway across the planet.
Well, considering the fact that Atlas is the top military of this world, you think it's gonna raise some eyebrows.
Exactly.
Considering everything.
Basically, that like most of the most impressive military arms in the world are suddenly outside the school where the Vital Festival is supposed to take place.
I think the only main reason they want to do that, extra security just in case anything bad goes down, because I feel like Ironwood is that paranoid.
Exactly. Basically, James brings up the warning that Crow made at the end of Season 1 with all of his emails that he sent out. However, Osmond interrupts him that if what Crow has said is true, then they should be smart and not bring a bunch of tanks into a schoolyard.
Yeah.
And of course, the two discuss the topic of a little bit more, and then Ironwood turns to leave, giving off seemingly his best quote in the entire series. Do you honestly believe your children can win a war? And
that honestly is a really hard question to answer, and it kind of shows its head going later into the show.
Exactly. Osmond answers that he hopes that they never have to fight a war, but the concern is there nonetheless because he really can't answer the question.
Yeah, and it makes you, like, when you see the concern on Osmond's face, you're thinking to yourself, what if he's wrong? What if this does happen?
It's basically James is being insulting without actually being insulting.
It's like that subtle bullying without really noticing it.
Exactly. Basically, James is being like, your students are unprepared. I've come to save you. And it's like, I love that stuff.
It's a nice. He wants to show. And also, I feel like he's just carrying the might of Atlas on his shoulders. Again, double council seat, but that's neither here nor there.
Meanwhile, we cut to the library where Team RWBY is playing Remnant the game, which Rooster Teeth actually did make a physical copy of this game for people to buy, although many have admitted it's very confusing to play.
Not to mention the fact I think it's their take on Risk.
Yes, I'll actually get to that at the end of this episode. Basically, Team Juniper is in the background, as they usually are, let's basically face it.
Yeah.
Ren is reading a book, Nora is napping, and Pyrrha is actually tutoring Jean in their studies like they were last season.
Yep.
basically just keeping to everything right there.
Showing you that character growth is there.
Yep, Jean attempts to join in the game, playing the board game, but then is turned down by RWBY because they already have 4 people playing. He and Weiss banter with each other, and Jean accidentally reveals that Weiss told everyone at the school that Blake is a faunus. Yeah, and no one calls Weiss out about that at all. It's just something that happens for comedy. Blake looks at everybody very meanly, and then we never bring it up again.
Comedy?
I mean, it's funny, but she did still do a mean thing, even though she said she wasn't going to be mean anymore. Oh,
okay,
my God.
That's a little concerning.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's still funny, but I still have to bring up an
It's
issue.
like one of those you can laugh at, but it's hard to laugh at.
Exactly. Then Sun comes out of nowhere with Neptune, just strolls on into the scene.
Hey guys!
And basically Sun, and of course Neptune gravitates towards Weiss because he's infatuated with her flirtatiously, and then introduces himself to her. Basically, Jean is very angry because he's been trying to get with Weiss for a full semester, and she never gives him the time of day. This new dude strolls up on in here and acts like the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Wait, so is this going to turn into one of those?
One of those? Yes, because I will get to that as we get towards the middle of the season, but I have had a lot more gripes with this trope in more recent years, but it's not a big thing in this chapter alone.
Alright.
Sun then greets Blake, who only brushes him off and leaves, much to everyone's confusion. Nora gets one funny line before the scene changes. Women.
You're a woman, Nora!
I love Nora. Please don't change.
Yeah, she's fun.
Basically, Blake sits down and contemplates what's been happening the past month, bringing up a slight flashback to her fight with Roman at the docks, but also to a conversation that she had with Osmond after the fact. He basically takes her to the same interrogation room he took Ruby to in episode 1. Now, I would have loved to have seen Osmond take more students into this interrogation room.
Yeah!
Let me tell you, but it's only done twice with Ruby and Blake, and I can't help but feel a lot of stuff was missed, honestly.
Yeah.
Basically,
You know what? How much you want to bet that there were scenes similar with Yang and Weiss, except they were cut out due to time constraints?
yeah, which sucks.
And probably limited budget.
Exactly. Basically, Osmond and Blake have a conversation about how Yang basically passed the entrance exam to Beacon without having to go to any of the training programs. Basically saying that she grew up outside the kingdoms, showing that she was born in the boonies. If you couldn't fight, you couldn't survive. Shows that she is a hardened fighter to the very core, but also to the fact pointing out that the Faunus are still very much repressed, even though Osmond said, we've made great strides in the past few years. Everybody says that. Everybody says that when they think progress is being made and literally nothing happens.
Sadly, you're right.
But of course, then they do get some banter out in there. I love the conversation because I think this is one of the only few times when Blake actually talks one-on-one with Osmond. And it's really nice to catch these interactions when we're able.
Yeah.
Blake doesn't tell him everything though, and then we cut back to the present day when everybody comes back to the room. Neptune beat them all in the game after one turn.
Good Lord, how?
I don't know. It just happened off screen because Neptune is amazing for some reason.
Well, I mean, he's not wrong.
Her team then comes in and Blake tries to sneak out. However, Weiss almost breaks the camera lens by pointing at the screen.
Yikes.
And of course she says, Lately you've been distant, moody, and a bit antisocial. Have you met Blake? I love that line.
That is
so
funny,
much.
yes.
This episode got some great comedy in it. And then, of course, Weiss reminds her of the promise she made in the season 1 finale to be more honest and open with everybody, but she hasn't been doing that. Then, of course, then Blake dumps everything that's been inside her brain at them. Literally everything. Explains that she's worried that the local huntsmen and police cannot handle the White Fang and Roman Torchwick, that they're completely out of their depth and something bigger is going on behind the scenes, but nobody seems to be doing anything about it.
Huh. Interesting.
Basically, she says that their enemies are not going to wait for them to graduate. They have to protect the world now, or there won't be a world to graduate in. And it's like, I want to say she's right, but then Weiss brings up a good point. They're not ready. They barely had 1 month of professional training.
That is true, you're right.
And you're like, basically, Blake is under the impression that at least somebody with partial training can do more with somebody or something or other.
Well, I mean, it's like they say, some experience is better than no experience at all.
Yep. Ruby asks her teammates if they want to work together to stop Roman, and they all say yes. Much to the funniness of all this.
Yep.
Before they start thinking of a plan, though, Ruby remembers that she left her board game in the library. Weiss has lost all faith in her, and she rushes out of the room to go get the board game, only to run into Emerald, Mercury, and Cinder wearing Haven exchange student outfits. So yes, Cinder, Emerald, and Mercury have somehow infiltrated Beacon after only one day.
What?
I mean, honestly, with all the exchange students coming in for the Vital Festival, it was way too easy for these seemingly strangers to slip onto the school grounds.
Yeah, that's a little worried.
Even Ruby is unable to recognize Cinder due to the latter's face having been hidden in shadows when they fought in the first episode. Cinder claims that they are visiting from Haven, leading to Ruby to assume that they're here for the Vital Festival. Ruby then tells him that the guest dorms are just east of here. Cinder thanks her and states that they will meet again very soon.
Oh, you have no idea.
As she walks away, her eyes lit up with fire again. Ruby says, "Welcome to Beacon." And there we go with episode 2. Even though this episode was basically just exposition with occasional jokes here and there, I thought the episode was good, but arguably my least favorite of the whole season.
Really?
Yeah. Definitely so.
I'm with you there, though. At least, do you think the episode's bad?
No.
I don't think so. It's fine, but compared to the last episode, yikes.
No, it's still good. If it was just a little less dialogue heavy with all these flashbacks.
Maybe have a few more funny segments.
Yeah, we just needed a little bit more comedy because they were taking things really damn seriously and expecting everybody to follow along, especially with the fact that we had this whole new main character in the bunch that nobody knew barely anything about.
It worked-ish.
It definitely worked-ish,
yeah,
but I do consider the episode good enough as is, but the rest of the season is much, much better.
Yeah, I'm with you there. At best, if I had to rate it, I'll give this episode, Welcome to Beacon, I'd say maybe around 7.5 out of 10.
I would give it a letter B ranking.
Really, a B?
Yeah,
not
honestly.
bad.
If it was a little bit better, could have given it a B+, but as right now, just keep it
all right, that's
as a
fair.
B.
Here's hoping the rest of the season's fine.
Now, let us go to episode 3, A Minor Hiccup. Weiss is basically in class, sitting and looking at the clock, which of course is very relatable for any student.
Oh yeah!
Basically, with 1 minute left of class, she's in the background of Professor Port's classroom, where he's teaching another lecture of blah 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 blah.
No, you can change that with the whole trumpet sound from those Peanuts cartoons, like
yes, it's literally like that. Basically, Jean then slides into her DMs right next to her, and basically says that he has 2 tickets to a movie if Weiss wants to go out on a date with him. She of course ignores him, and then basically he tries with other excuses like going to get some food to eat or studying for a test. She just ignores all of them, and then as soon as the class is over, rejects all of his things to go out on dates. Yang says, one day, and of course,
right,
and of course, just leaves Jean in his sorrow.
I know. I bet probably she was just ignoring him just to focus on the class.
No, it's because, I know these kinds of stories going in real deep. We had Miles going after Weiss. We now have, Carrie going after Weiss as Neptune. Stuff like that. I'll get to it in the middle of the season. But right now, we need to shift to Team RWBY going back to their room and putting on new outfits. Let me tell you, these stealth outfits are so freaking awesome.
It's something.
But the fact of the matter is they basically swap out all their regular color palettes for black and white.
Sitting.
And of course, literally, Monty did once say that Weiss's outfit was literally a white version of Ruby's regular clothes. Which I just think is okay, great, just use assets, put on a different color, and just give them to another character.
Yeah, the stealth outfits. I'm reminded of the stealth outfits in the show Young Justice, where the team had stealth versions of their costumes. So this is the same thing here, and kind of wish we had more of that.
I know. Season 2 can basically be summed up as the season where everybody gets outfits and then never wears them again.
Yeah, it's possibly one chance to get a toy out of that.
Exactly, basically. I've been telling RWBY needs to make more Funko Pops. They only made 4 and then never made any more. There's so many different toys. Well, I mean, technically they did make toys about the RWBY characters, but then stopped after season 4 for some reason.
That is a little weird.
Needless to say, Pyrrha's toys are the most expensive.
Of course they are.
Roughly about $500 each, new in box.
I mean, considering the fact that she... wait, can't say that yet.
She's the most popular character.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so needless to say, they get on the stealth outfits and they go over the plan about what they're going to do now that class is done, in the hopes of finding out what Roman Torchwick and the White Fang are up to. RWBY and Weiss will go to the CCT tower on Beacon's campus and try to get the Schnee Dust Company records and look them over for any robberies that may have occurred, just like the one we saw in season 1.
Makes sense.
Blake will go to a meeting of the White Fang faction and try to infiltrate it back in from the inside, and of course Yang will go to her informant within the city of Vale to try and get more information. This will actually connect to her promotional trailer from season 1.
We'll get there.
You of course will get there, going into the shady part of town to get the information. After the event, they are to go to the club that Yang is going to in order to share all the information they have. Are they ready? Sun is ready. He's hanging outside on a tree limb by his tail. And I thought that is so cool.
That was funny. It was like, how long have you been hanging there?
Basically, he says that he hangs from stuff all the time, even though Weiss accused him of doing something else. And of course, he then volunteers himself and Neptune to help. Neptune is out on the ledge too.
Yeah, and he's probably like, can you listen? No, I'm worried I'm going to fall off.
Yeah, see, literally, how the hell did y'all get up there? It's never explained.
Mike, it's called a cartoon. Deal with it.
I need explanations. I need to know how these things happen. So basically now with 2 other assistants going to help them on this mission, RWBY tries basically they basically try to reject them, saying that they do not want their friends to get involved. But of course, Sun insists that friends should always get involved, even especially in dangerous missions. I cannot argue with that logic.
I guess.
After some discussion, Sun is paired up with Blake because they worked so well last season, and Neptune is paired off with Yang because she doesn't have a partner.
Of course.
Of course, Weiss really wants to work with Neptune because he's big, tall, blue-haired boy. And of course, RWBY says nah and just pulls her away.
And the fact RWBY laughs at that's just a little disheartening.
Funny. It's also to show just how hella tall Neptune is.
Yeah.
He towers over all the other women in this show.
Which makes me think, good lord, he's almost as tall as me, probably.
I know, literally, I know that Jean is at least 6 feet tall, but literally the fact that Neptune may even be taller than him. Oh my god. And then of course we cut to the tower. RWBY is unable to restrain her amazement at seeing the CCT tower so up close.
Well, to be fair though, the tower is an amazing thing to look at.
Yep. Weiss then gives some exposition about how Atlas basically gave the world Wi-Fi after the Great War 80 years ago.
Basically, you're saying Atlas was trying to be Apple.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, that's literally what the scrolls are. They're basically Apple products. and then, of course, which was the first... So, Atlas had the very first Wi-Fi tower ever assembled in the world. She then goes on to explain how they developed it to communicate. Basically saying that it was Atlas's gift to the world. RWBY teases Weiss for being a know-it-all.
She is.
It's so adorable.
Yeah.
Basically, Weiss tells him, why couldn't they just go to the library? Because the tower is more fun. She tries to take a picture but drops her phone. But then somebody picks her phone up. It's Penny. Where have you been? Penny comes out of nowhere and tries to give RWBY's phone back, but then forgets that, she's not supposed to be seen by them for some reason.
Right. That's a little weird.
Penny feigns amnesia and pretends that she doesn't know RWBY and Weiss, but every time the audience knows she's lying, she hiccups. Which I think...
that explains the episode's title.
Yeah, a minor hiccup. Exactly.
Well, that is actually not that far off because I heard people do actually, if people lie, they actually either hiccup or to do something like they either look to the left, their eye twitches. When you know someone is lying, there's something goes off in their body that lets you know something's up. A hiccup, an eye twitch, whatever. This is just a prime example.
Exactly, very much so. RWBY chases after Penny to try and find out what's going on, while Weiss goes to the tower to get the records by herself.
Right.
RWBY catches up to Penny and persists to try and talk to her about what happened and why she disappeared after the events of the Season 1 finale. Penny keeps trying to get away from her, but she eventually convinces her by saying that they're friends, and that's so nice. That was all she needed to hear.
Yeah.
I love it when she says, "It's not safe to talk here. They could be watching us." And of course, I want to know who's watching you. I love the mystery of this so much.
Who doesn't?
Oh my god! And then of course we cut to Weiss. It's arguably a long stint to get to where they're going in the tower.
Yeah, but what anime doesn't do that with this stuff?
It definitely works for build-up. It shows the inner workings of the tower for later scenes in the series.
True.
And of course, Weiss practices her fake smiles, the ones that she would normally give during other events.
Oh yeah, a genuine smile. That's gonna be hard coming from her.
Yep. She then tells a hologram that she would like to make a call to the CDC, to the SDC headquarters, and is instructed to take a seat at one of the terminals. Once she goes there, she is answered by the SDC communications officer, who asks Weiss if she would like to speak to her dad or her sister.
Yeah, about that, no.
She then declines both of them hard and convinces the operator to transfer the data she needs to her phone, claiming that she needs it for a school project and will ensure that all of the classified data will be deleted afterwards. After the transfer, the operator asks her again if she doesn't want to speak to her father, causing her smile to fade. Upon hanging up the call, she then drops the fake smile completely. You can see that her father and her have the worst relationship.
Yeah, it's not pretty.
Also, why the hell would a communications officer give classified documents to a 17-year-old girl claiming it's for a school project?
Well,
that makes absolutely no sense.
Well, I think I've got a good answer for that, considering Weiss's position and her reputation. I guess it's okay.
I suppose that they would think that she wouldn't lie because she's such a good girl.
Exactamundo.
Yeah, I get that. Penny is seen nervous walking beside RWBY along the streets of Vale, saying that she doesn't know anything about Roman Torchwick or who those guys were. She simply jumped in to defend RWBY because that's what good friends do. And I absolutely love that.
And it's a good reason. And it's just a good reason.
Yep. They basically talk about their dads and how we don't get much information about RWBY and Yang's father, but we can say that he is a very kind and loving person, even if he can be distant at times.
Absolutely.
And of course, Penny's father is very overprotective and told her not to walk out too far, which of course caused the Atlas soldiers to pick her up after everything went down. They then say that her dad didn't call her back, General Ironwood did. And of course, we then cut to the middle of town where General Ironwood is giving a presentation about the new Atlas security droids because the old ones kind of sucked ass.
Well, considering the fact that they were defeated easily, makes sense.
Basically making the Atlassian Knights Mach 200 combat androids to replace the old one.
Wait a minute. They look like people, right?
Yeah.
Are you sure he's trying not to make his own version of the Iron Legion?
It really does be like that, though. Like, it really does seem like that's what he's trying to do.
Yeah, let's hope they don't end up being like Ultron and taking over everything.
Oh, no. And then
you're right.
And of course, we have the Atlassian Paladin, the man-controlled robots with the big cannons and awesome arms. It's pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah, except, let me think about that. Oh, yeah. Gundam wants its gimmick back.
Yeah, you know that they took inspiration from the Gundam animes, but let's not kid ourselves. Literally everything in RWBY has been taken from a much better show.
Yeah, but, I mean, it still proves that the show's good. Anyway.
These weapons were made in cooperation with Weiss's father's company.
Of course it was.
A pair of Atlas soldiers spot Penny in the crowd, and then they start to chase after her. RWBY uses her speed semblance to catches up to her so that they can get away. However, when RWBY is almost run over by a truck, Penny jumps out in front of the truck and stops it immediately.
Ooh, can I say it?
I'm going to build up to it a bit more, but you can say it in a little bit.
Yeah, it's just
basically...
Yeah, but I guess Penny's got a strong aura when holding back a truck.
Exactly. And of course, Shop keeps in the truck, which is always funny.
Yeah.
Penny looks down at her hands and then continues to run away from the Atlas soldiers into a nearby alley. The soldiers can't give chase because of the massive group of people coming around, but then Penny realizes the alley leads to a dead end. Seeing no way out, Ruby then comes up behind her and asks her what the heck is going on. Penny's hiccuping is getting more and more apparent and repetitive, basically saying that she doesn't want to talk to her and to basically just leave her alone. Basically saying that if there's something wrong with Penny, Ruby can help, she just has to trust her. Penny simply asks one question: "Are you my friend?" Yes.
Well, you might think, Penny holding back a truck? Man, she's got a strong aura. Why should you look at her hands? You think bruises? Scars? Well, more like metal. Here's the big truth. Penny's a robot!
I know! I was completely blown away when I found out about it.
I called it immediately based on her mannerisms. Yeah. And I was like, I knew it, and I'll still stick to that. But yeah, so apparently Penny has you can explain it best. Apparently she has an artificial aura?
Basically, I'll be doing that in episode 4, but not all of it because it'll spoil the rest of the series.
Oh, you're right. But as of now, like, with that shocking cliffhanger,
this episode was great.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't know how to say. Yeah, honestly, like, we get more of Penny. Like, we get more hints of what Weiss's home life was like back in Atlas.
Yeah.
Do see more of the stuff in Vale, like the CCT Tower. Although I will admit, showing off of the Atlas Knights and the Paladin gives you a little bit of a weird feeling.
Edge. And of course, we have a few Easter eggs too. Jean basically asking Weiss out to the dinner. He says he wants to take her to a Bruce Willis movie. I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure that you guys can get that.
Oh God, well. I hate to ask what it's called.
They never gave the title of the movie. They just said it's a Bruce Willis movie.
Oh, okay, all right. How about this? How about Pie Hard?
Oh, that's good. Or Die Easy.
Oh, please. Die Easy? That's playing a baby video game. Anyway.
Okay, so basically, the scene when Ruby drags Weiss away from Neptune when the teams are paired up is actually a callback to the first season when Weiss dragged Ruby away when they were first paired up. Remember that? Like, I love that. It's so funny because it shows how Weiss dragged her away in anger. She's dragging her away because it's fun.
Yeah.
It just shows their deep underlying connection with each other.
Oh, yeah, sure.
This episode's ability to combine both comedy and tragedy really does showcase the level of depth that this show was capable of hitting.
That's true, yeah.
When they expertly tried. Taylor's performance as Penny rocks in this episode.
Absolutely.
I have to say, she really pulls off the innocence so gosh darn well. Is it
because of also the hiccups?
No, I know.
Like the way she hiccups, that's adorable.
It's really good. Unfortunately, Penny never hiccups again in the entire series.
Well, I mean, I don't think she's lied ever again.
I know, because they never made her lie again. They should have made her lie again.
Yeah!
Because it's part of her character. Because, okay, you guys know how whenever Pinocchio lies, his nose gets bigger? Penny is Pinocchio. When she lies, she hiccups. You take away the thing that makes Pinocchio Pinocchio, he's just a talking puppet. That's basically it.
I mean, Penny's sort of the same way, but also kind of like an evolved Pinocchio, if you ask me.
I know. But needless to say, besides all that, I love the outfits, the comedy, the story, the cliffhanger.
I feel like the animation has also really gotten too. Cause like the way the Atlas Knights look, I'm looking and thinking like, wow, so that's what DC Super Friends figures look like if they were life-size. Huh.
Exactly.
But they were nice to look at. Honestly, like, it shows that the animation is slowly becoming cleaner and looking more, well, how should I put it? More detailed.
Oh my
That's the way to put it.
goodness.
Despite, how not everything is detailed, considering that the crowds of people are still in black and white.
Well,
partially.
Partially. They do have a lot more solid models this season.
Oh, yeah.
So at the end of the day, I'll give episode 3 of season 2 a minor hiccup, a B+ letter ranking.
Fitting name for that episode because of everything. So with that, it's still a solid episode. I put it right up there with Best Day Ever as a good episode of season 2. So at best, I'll give it maybe like an 8.5 out of 10.
Exactly. Now let's head into episode 4, Painting the Town.
Oh boy.
Penny finally reveals to Ruby that she is an artificial life form, an android, more specifically, the first synthetic person capable of generating an aura.
So basically like Vision.
Yeah, basically she's Vision. Like that.
Well, that makes sense because like that, I think the term you're looking for, synthezoid.
Synthezoid, exactly.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's kind of crazy how that's possible.
I know. They try to explain it on later in the series, but they do it very bare bones like.
Yeah, and I feel like it
honest.
could have been tweaked and made a lot better, but
Yeah.
we'll get there.
To Penny's surprise, Ruby takes all of this extremely well and is very accepting of her after she came out to her, you could say.
Oh, yeah.
And
that
of
makes
course,
sense.
Penny is overjoyed to see that Ruby truly is her friend. Honestly, at the very end of the day, her friendship is genuine and true. And of course, I love that. I love their relationship so gosh darn much.
Yeah.
Basically, Penny gives off more exposition that, her father was the one that built her alongside with General Ironwood. Basically saying that she is basically the prototype of a new series of living weapons.
Makes sense.
She's never been outside the lab. And of course, I love her little monologue in the middle of this little alley. One day, it'll be my job to save the world. But I still have so much left to learn. And it's like, oh my god, I got chills. This is so good. I love it. And however, many people do have problems with this part of the story.
Really?
Basically, some people feel like they got Penny's issue all wrong.
What do you mean?
Basically, Penny's issue was that she didn't need friends. She wanted to be human. She wanted to be like everybody else. But then Ruby said, no, she just needs a friend. That's way better than being human. It basically makes Ruby a very non-existent protagonist. The story is going on whether she does anything or not.
That's that's a little weird.
It is a very meshy, but I personally don't exactly agree with that. I like what the show is doing already, very much so. So I will stick with it for once. You know what I'm saying?
Same here.
So basically, Penny says that she's going to be needed for what's to come. Ruby says, what's coming? They're in a time of peace. That's not what Mr. Ironwood said. It's like, what has James not been telling Osmond?
Oh, you have no idea.
But then, of course, the moment of celebration is ruined when two Atlas soldiers finally catch up to them after long last.
Thank God.
Penny's plan on hiding Ruby so she's not arrested, throwing her in the rat-infested dumpster. It's like,
I remember that was funny.
it's so funny. Basically, though, Penny makes Ruby promise not to tell her secret to anybody. This I do have criticisms for, ultimately, because Ruby promises to keep Penny's secret about being a robot, but that's the thing. Penny only has one more scene this season, and she's not seen till halfway through season 3 again. The show gives no, points in the story for anybody to question if Penny's a robot or not. So basically, what's the point of her making a promise she doesn't need to keep because nobody cares if Penny's a robot or not?
Huh, interesting. I thought your criticism was going to be that considering, Ruby found out about Blake and everything, I thought, she couldn't keep a secret.
No, exactly. She can. It's just that this doesn't...
But I do see what you're talking about now, because, I could see, how does no one else notice that?
Exactly. Nobody notices because the script says they don't notice.
Okay.
I guess. So basically, Penny quickly hides Ruby away, makes her promise. The soldiers come and Penny agrees to go with them, even after they berated her. But then, of course, Ruby evades getting in trouble, hides in the dumpster for basically the rest of the day. I'd really like to think that she got scared by one of the rats in the dumpster and just knocked her ass out. And then basically...
No. I bet the rat scared. She's like, Jesus! And she ran and just probably spent the afternoon in Vale without going back to the school.
Yep. We then cut to Yang and Neptune, who are outside the same nightclub that Yang went to in her promotional trailer for season 1.
Oh, no, not again!
She's basically gone back to see Junior, which I'm thinking is this is going to be fun. I can already see that. They make a very loud entrance before Junior and his guys come on. After a very warm welcome, Yang proceeds to interrogate him about where Roman Torchwick is and what he's been doing. But in the end, Junior is unable to provide any useful information or stuff that they don't already know, as Torchwick never returned after being seemingly disappointed by the henchmen he hired for the first episode.
Huh.
So basically, Yang and Neptune's scenes are completely pointless, except for the climax.
Surprisingly.
The entire purpose of this was just to reestablish that Junior exists in Vale, and that's about it. I do believe that we will see him again, but this is his last episode in the series as of the recording of this video.
Oh boy.
So basically, they just needed to kill time and have Yang and Neptune stuff to do. I will say, I do love it when they insult Neptune, though. That's definitely...
Oh yeah, that was funny.
That's definitely one of the better parts of this whole thing. However, we cut to the more interesting part of the episode with Blake and Sun as they infiltrate a warehouse in Vale, disguising themselves as members of the White Fang.
Which is fitting.
Blake gives the exposition about where the Grim masks came from and then about how they dawned the face of monsters because that's how humanity saw them. So was the person who came up with the idea in the first place.
Yeah.
They then go into the central meeting room where they discover that Roman Torchwick is present at the meeting, unveiling that they've stolen a bunch of the Adlesian paladins that the general just unveiled in the last episode.
Huh.
He had acquired them prior to their official entry into the market and planned to use them for their big nefarious plan, whatever that may be.
Of course.
Sun quickly feels the urge to make a getaway, and to make things worse, Roman easily spots them among the new people joining the White Fang. Easily spots them out because he sees the monkey and the cat girl. But then, of course, Blake creates a distraction by shooting the breaker to get out the lights. He can't, because we can see in the dark, but he can't.
Fair enough.
And of course, that's just so freaking sweet. And of course, they then escape out through a window. I would have loved it if Roman had said this line. He doesn't. I really wish he did. You wanted to do something done right, you have to do it yourself. And I know that line is said later on in RWBY, but I think it makes more sense here, personally. Roman then takes off after them in the giant mech robot.
Of course he does.
And it is so freaking sick how they have to jump from rooftop to rooftop to evade his machine gun blasts. And it's so freaking awesome. With basically rapid fire attacks attacking them, all of Team RWBY is able to pressure Roman Torchwick, even with the advanced technology he has. Oh my god. Basically, I will calm down because this is a very exciting fight and I want to get everything down accurate. Blake calls Weiss, Yang, and RWBY to basically get themselves over to their location to help stop the giant robot. Yang and Neptune are the ones closest because they run down the street directly next to them.
Of course.
Basically, Yang and Neptune use Yang's motorcycle Bumblebee to quickly meet up on the nearby highway and engage Roman, marking the beginning of a very large battle. And honestly, one of the coolest battles in the entire show. On Yang's motorcycle, dodging flying cars everywhere.
Yes!
It looks so sick.
It was fun to watch.
And of course, Sun and Neptune try to help out as we see Sun's superpower. Quite like with Blake, he can make copies of himself to fight on his behalf.
Yeah, but and just like Blake, they're sort of like hard constructs and pretty much like act as a physical being.
Basically, yes, so. And of course, we are also introduced to Neptune's weapon. Basically, an electrified gun that can become a trident.
Not bad.
AKA, Neptune is based off of Poseidon from the Greek gods. Is it a Poseidon or is that Roman gods?
Neptune is Roman.
Neptune is Roman. Poseidon is Greek.
Yeah, Neptune's basically the Roman name for Poseidon. But
yeah, basically.
But that's specifics.
So, okay, cool thing right there. But then, of course, Neptune launches himself at Roman's robot. Roman flings Neptune off, hits Sun, and they both fall off the damn highway. Ah! Well, they're dead.
Whoa. Have you seen the show? I know. If Yang can survive being yeeted out of the sky from the cafeteria and fall back without getting hurt, I think they're fine.
I mean, it's like they didn't do anything. Like, we just saw Sun's power, Neptune's weapon, Neptune screamed a whole lot, and they fell off the highway. That's basically, right. I mean, it was funny enough, though. I'll definitely give it that.
Yeah.
Basically, Weiss is able to finally get the robot off of the highway by basically icifying the road. Roman falls off of the highway where RWBY awaits for him. Once again, the two enemies stare each other down.
Of course they do.
A massive fight breaks out as Team RWBY uses amazing combo attacks to try and take out the robot two at a time. And I have to say, it's really freaking awesome. Using stuff like Checkmate, Freezer Burn, Ladybug, and they're like showing all these different combinations where Blake is freaking slicing missiles in half because Weiss can slow down time.
Yeah, surprisingly.
And of course, Yang and Weiss can make smoke screens. RWBY and Blake can use fast-moving, fast attacks. It's so freaking great. However, even after one of the robot's arms have been sliced off, Torchwick still manages to deal a severe hit to Yang. But then, of course, Blake and Weiss are very concerned. RWBY is not, because that is Yang's superpower. She's able to take any damage she's dealt and deliver it to her enemies twice-fold.
I thought so.
It's pretty freaking awesome. And of course, as a massively awesome song called Die kicks in the background, I Am a Woman punches frickin' Roman's robot apart piece by piece. And it's so frickin' sick. Because as like the song lyrics are blaring in the background, there was a time we lived in peace, looked to a happy ending. The days were bright, they shined like gold, every step ascending. It's like, oh my god, the music is just getting better and better.
Yep.
Allows her to do all these kinds of things. He then kicks Yang, but then Blake uses her weapon to catch Yang and throws her like a slingshot back into Roman again.
Yeah, shit.
And of course, finally, RWBY and Weiss delves another disastrous blow using Ice Flower, where of course Weiss freezes RWBY's bullets enough to freeze a Roman's robot on impact. And at the very last moment, Yang blows his robot apart with a single punch.
Of course it does.
The dude just rolls away completely unscathed, too. I absolutely love how he's like, I just got this dry cleaned.
Yeah, and he'd be like, well, I'm out of here.
And then, of course, Yang tries to deliver the killing blow, but we're introduced to another new character. Like this show needed any more of those.
Hey, at least she's still effective.
This is Neapolitan, a.k.a. Roman's side dish. Which, of course...
Really? Side dish?
Well, yeah, because she's... Neo is based off Neapolitan ice cream.
Oh, actually, that makes sense.
I absolutely found that amazing. She's basically a multicolored thing with vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry colors, holding a parasol in a very, very nighttime attirely Victorian steampunk outfit.
You could say that.
It is really nice. Her hair is pretty neat, too.
Yeah, and, I'd rather save Neo stuff until the end.
Yep, so Yang tries to attack them again, but it turns out Neo used her special ability, creating images of herself to try and fool others. Basically making fake constructs of herself while she and Roman fly away into the night.
So it's just a copy of Blake's power?
No, she can make images of herself. Basically she can, make people think that she's run one way, but she's actually run another.
Oh, right.
Maybe it's kind of like Blake's power, but I like to think of it as very unique to, her home, because, she can't leave, stone statues of herself everywhere.
Yeah, I think about it. You have a point.
Weiss then attempts to make a horrible joke after the fight is done, and everybody's like, boo!
Yeah, that joke, even I have to admit, as a master of puns, Jesus.
This is such a good ending, and of course, RWBY's the only one who wonders where the hell Sun and Neptune went.
They're fine.
Yeah, they just went to get noodles.
Yeah, they basically pulled a Naruto and went to get noodles.
Yeah, it's like, I love to bring it up about how the hell they survived falling off the highway. Never brought up, they just eat noodles now.
Mike, remember, it's cartoon logic.
I know, this episode was fantastic.
It was pretty cool. I will admit, though, it was a bit shallow because it was very much, but the rest of it was just most of this episode was just overshadowed by the big fight.
I know.
That's really it.
The big fight and Penny's coming out speech. I definitely have to say
that was the highlight too.
Yeah, those
two things overshadowed just the rest. And as is, it's okay.
Exactly.
But we both agreed the fight's the best part.
Definitely. Let's see about this. So, Junior mentions Roman hiring his men in the first episode, and the red trailer. Roman does indeed make a brief cameo, as we do remember. Yang's entrance into the club mirrors how she walked in her trailer, except she is fully lit and not a silhouette.
Thank God.
So the tactical attacks are, as I said, Freezer Burn, Checkmate, Ice Flower, Ladybug, and Bumblebee. I loved the reason why Monty did this. Let me tell you, giving the teams team attacks. Monty explained that most shows have very boring and generic team fights. Basically saying that he wanted his characters to have very unique team fighting tactics all their own, and so he basically named the team fighting names off of the ship names that the fandom came up with, and I absolutely love that so much, and decided to combine the two concepts for Team RWBY's team names. However, White Rose is the most common ship name for Weiss and RWBY, not Ice Flower, and of course Monochrome is mostly used for Weiss and Blake, not Checkmate.
Yeah, I can see that.
I still say Checkmate is a better name though. And of course, I do love the the connection that Ruby and Yang don't fight because they don't have a ship name. There is a ship name, but I do not support that shit.
Yeah, let's just set this up. When it comes to fan shipping, we do not condone anything incestual related because they're sisters.
Unless it's Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing. You think we'll eventually talk about Game of Thrones one day?
Definitely.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
On the side of the dumpster that Penny throws Ruby into, there's actually a bit of graffiti that's from the Rooster Teeth series, The Gauntlet.
Oh,
which
great.
is actually pretty cool. I honestly didn't know that.
Nice touch.
The Simple Walk Noodle Shop where Sun and Neptune eat at is a possible reference to the Rooster Teeth series, A Simple Walk into Mordor.
Oh, and wait, hang on. Is walk spelled W-O-K?
Yeah.
That also, it just makes me think of City Walk from South Park.
It really do, honestly. Also, the series that was in question was narrated by Neptune's voice actor, Carrie Shawcross.
Of course.
Okay, the Season 2 trailer portrayed Team Ruby fleeing from and battling the robot in their original outfits, not these new outfits.
Well, they don't want to spoil audiences.
Exactly. The chase scene on the highway greatly resembles a Season 9 episode of Red vs. Blue.
Of course it does.
Weiss's yellow time dilation spell that she uses on Blake is very much similar to a move that Monty used in his video Dead Fantasy.
What's that?
Basically like the animated shorts he made, like when I was talking about the buildup of the series.
Oh, like when he was first getting into the animation.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Basically,
Okay, gotcha.
Monty even refers to it as haste in the commentary, basically saying that, yeah, he basically just wanted to do time dilation again.
Huh.
And I love that so much.
And then he just said haste because it's make haste.
Okay, so here's something that I didn't know. Originally, Ruby was going to explain Yang's semblance to Neptune, not Blake. However, the rig for Sun's weapon, the gunchucks, was too complicated to make new animations for. Is that something new? Oh, okay, so actually that's actually two facts merged together. She was actually going to explain it to Neptune when they first teamed up, not to Blake during the fight. Another model was the fact that everybody was wondering, why the heck does Sun only use his gunchucks, but he doesn't actually fight in this episode? Basically showing that the fight animation that they had for Sun in the Season 1 finale was only supposed to be used for that episode alone. Monty never made any more fight animation with Sun for Season 2.
Are you kidding me?
Basically saying that Sun was the most complicated person to animate fight scenes for.
Well, considering everything, makes sense.
Basically was too complicated to make new animation for due to having made them years before Monty was less experienced. Basically that says the animation they used for Sun was made years ago and it would take way too much time to make new ones for Season 2.
I guess.
Basically saying that because of this, the crew decided to throw Sun and Neptune out of the fight because they didn't have any more animation.
That explains a lot.
Yes, it does. The White Fang leader introducing Roman is also voiced by Roman's voice actor.
Of course.
Of course. Neo can be seen at the White Fang meeting there, despite her not even supposed to be there. You see, Neo was created 10 days before episode 4 of Season 2 was set to air.
Seriously?
Monty basically dreamed her up one day and decided to insert her into the shots just because he felt like it. There was no time to record any lines or change the script, so they simply kept her mute. And she's been mute for the entire series.
There's a workaround for that, but that's for another time.
So yeah, basically Neo was a very last-minute character, and I have to say, she was really greatly improved in this series.
Yes.
So basically, after talking about all that, the fight scene is fantastic, Penny's monologue in the beginning, iconic as all hell. The group outfits, even though this is the last time we'll see them, has always left a good thing in my heart.
Yeah.
And of course, I will always appreciate painting the town as a fun end to a very exhilarating part of early RWBY's history.
Absolutely, and just a sign of what was to come. So with that in mind, I personally rate this episode as another good one, and I'd rate it maybe like an 8.5 out of 10.
I would happily give Painting the Town an A letter ranking.
Hey, nice.
Yep. Now let us head into episode 5, Extracurricular.
All right, bring it on.
During sparring class, and yes, we actually see the sparring class, aka the gym class of RWBY. Basically, Pure Nikos is fighting the entirety of Team Cardinal single-handedly, and she beats all of them super easily.
Because she's that good.
Yep. Also, of course, Cardin was throwing his teammates into danger to save himself again. Basically,
Jerk.
Shows that, yeah, he's still kind of a dick. Even though
Yeah,
he's
he
like much more nicer to Jean, does just mean he's nicer to everybody.
You could taste like a prick.
Galinda basically states that they have time for one more spar before the class ends. She singles out Blake, who's fallen asleep in class because Blake still has not given up the search for Roman Torchwick.
Huh?
She's completely sleep deprived, so Mercury volunteers to fight Pyrrha instead. Although Galinda wants him to choose a different partner, he wants to fight Pyrrha and won't fight anybody else.
Why?
Because you'll be remembered.
Oh, right.
During their fight, Mercury puts Pyrrha on the defensive. The dude is a hell of a fighter. Let me tell you, his kick. This basically Mercury fights solely with his feet, and let me tell you,
he's basically a karate master.
this dude is so amazingly good. His fight style is one I really wish I had, but my feet just aren't that strong. The dude basically puts Pyrrha on the defensive almost immediately. He's very swift and cunning, which shows his assassin backgrounds. And of course, it shows how swift and difficult he is to fight, managing to disarm her and drive her to the desperate move, basically forcing her to use her superpower.
Of course.
Which of course nobody knows what it is because she's been keeping it hush hush. But Mercury's not stupid, and then immediately sussed it out of her. And of course, as soon as he finds out what her power is, he immediately surrenders because he's already learned everything he needed to know. As everybody is leaving the arena, Mercury comments that he was merely studying Pyrrha to Emerald, basically saying that they'll have to tell Cinder about this later. As Team RWBY is leaving the arena, Sun goes up to Blake and basically asks her to the upcoming dance that's going on. Which, of course, now we enter the dance arc of Season 2.
Oh, yeah!
And it's a fun divergent, but many people, including some of my colleagues, hate this arc with a passion.
Why?
Basically, okay, so
Because it's just so divergent and doesn't care about anything?
No, basically, she specifically this person, accuses Miles and Carrie, aka Jean and Neptune and all that stuff. Men like them only write prom episodes in animated or live-action series for children because their proms were so bad they have to write one that was way better. And of course, it does really connect because I don't mean to throw any shade at Kerry Shawcross. I thank him every day for the hours he puts into this show for the last 10 years. But I find it so damn funny about how the least attractive man working on RWBY is playing the most handsome guy in the cast. I find that so funny. Yeah, it's basically so damn
I get that, but I will admit though, I don't care what they say. The dance arc is fun. It's a nice little diversion and nice last-minute sign of good stuff to come until,
Basically, Blake harshly rejects Sun's idea of going to the dance. We also see Sun's teammates in the background, but they don't do anything.
Give it a season.
Yeah, give it a season. Maybe we'll get something from them. Sun is very seemingly hurt by her rejection. Basically, upon getting back to the rooms, her teammates insist that she go to the dance, citing their concern because she hasn't slept in like 3 days.
Yeah, that's a problem because it's now time for a little science fact with Chris. According to a study from 2010, if you're awake for at least 72 hours, you start inducing hallucinations and your body just starts to give out on you.
Exactly.
And if you're awake for about a week, you will die.
Basically, Blake insists that figuring out what Torchwick is doing is way more important than her grades. And of course, it shows that Blake doesn't give a about what these teachers think of them. She's going to be a hero whether they like it or not.
Words to live by?
I really don't know.
I don't think
honestly.
that's a good message.
Yes, especially.
It's like I don't know. It's like giving up your school studies to become a superhero.
Yeah, literally. They mentioned that they have already learned that the White Fang has a hideout in the southeast of the country. Well, yeah, that's good, but you have to scour the entire southeast of the country to find it, and that's going to be very difficult. They also learned that from the SDC records that Vale is the only place being robbed of the dust. The entire kingdom is the epicenter of what the hell is going on. Basically, of course, Blake is not satisfied. On top of all of this, Blake and Yang drop the fact that they are now organizing the end of the semester dance. And of course, they're basically organizing everything because Team Coffee had to go leave on a mission. And of course, now they have to fill in for them. Who is Team Coffee? Hell if I know.
That'll come later.
Basically, just name drop this completely other team. Certainly, they won't be anything cool or anything like that.
I mean, you never know.
And then, of course, they try to push her to relax just for one day. Then they'll get back to work. Blake still says this is a colossal waste of her time. And of course, just goes off to the library and basically demands that they don't follow her. Basically shows that she's going to get in trouble if she keeps pushing herself like this. But then outside the door, Jean has a guitar and he starts singing to Weiss from behind the door.
Oh, this scene's just cringe nowadays.
It's so funny because I know Miles Luna is an excellent singer, but the fact is that he sings it so off-key and so bad.
I mean, he did also cringe that Camp song, but that's a whole other
basically,
spiel.
that's it.
That's a whole other thing.
Jean is basically asking Weiss out to the dance for the 99th time, and she says no.
Of course.
Basically, I love how they say, and that is why they call you the Ice Queen. It basically says that Weiss has this very sad portrayal of life, that men have only cared about her because then they'll get rich if they marry her.
Oh, great.
Which of course
It's kind of like she's kind of like Jasmine from Aladdin when you think about it.
Yeah, pretty much. Basically, Jean is also very sad about being rejected, but of course we don't see how Sun is sad. We just cut to Jean basically dueling on the roof with Pyrrha because, remember, she promised to help him with his fighting.
Still working.
Jean has gotten a lot better since the ending of Season 1,
Yeah.
but of course he doesn't want to try working on his aura, not yet. He just wants to go out for a walk, and because he's too distracted by Weiss's rejection to concentrate. Pyrrha wants him to discover his superpower. Eventually they'll find out what it is.
Oh, yeah.
But basically Pyrrha responds by urging him to ask someone else out to the dance. There's always more people out there. He claims that someone as popular as Pyrrha could never understand what rejection is like. She's amazing and strong and talented and popular. She has no idea what it's like to be Jean. It's basically a better version of that awful dialogue he gave in Season 1, Episode 7.
Yeah.
Basically saying that she'll never understand what it's like to be less because she's so awesome. I do like where it goes, though. I absolutely love where it goes. Basically said as how Pyrrha says that Jean doesn't really know what he's talking about. He boldly proclaims, if you don't get a date, I'll wear a dress to the prom.
Oh, jeez. That whole thing. That'll,
And of course, the episode ends with Cinder, Emerald, and Mercury discussing all the things that they learned about the students. Most notably, Pyrrha is being as subtle as possible with her superpower. She wants to appear to be as stronger than everybody, that she's destined for victory, but she's just on the same path as everybody else.
Yeah.
And of course, I do love the banter between Cinder, Emerald, and Mercury.
It's nice.
They have an excellent banter that I love to watch more than anything else. So basically says that Pyrrha basically putting her opponents at a disadvantage. Basically doesn't tell people what they're getting themselves into. That's why she always wins.
Oh, yeah.
She seems to be basically giving the illusion that she's untouchable, that she's invincible, the blunder woman, basically. But then of course, Cinder tells her little peeps, her disciples, just to simply wait a little while longer. They'll get what's coming to them in due time. Mercury complains, I hate waiting. And of course,
don't we all?
Cinder assures him that this upcoming weekend is going to be the best night ever.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
As basically she's trying to sew up a dress for going to the prom. Which I'm thinking is
Sound familiar?
Yeah, very much so. Okay, so
hey, at least a good thing that she didn't have mice.
Some very few Easter eggs here. Pyrrha getting ready for her duel at the start of the episode is very similar to the character Carolina from Red vs. Blue, where both characters share the same scene as well as the same attack.
Oh, really?
Which I think is really cool.
Nice dig.
Some of the scenes in this episode are actually seen during the opening credits. Most notably, Pyrrha fighting against Team Cardinal, which I thought was pretty nice. Cinder's comment about Pyrrha being fated for victory is possibly a reference to the root of her last name, Nikos, which is Greek for victor of the people.
Huh.
Which is
actually
really cool.
That's very fitting.
Yeah. Emerald was originally meant to be wearing her uniform disguise while speculating Mercury sparring with Pyrrha, as evidenced by early images. It really does show that, the original version of this scene, they were wearing their Haven costumes, because right now they're wearing their evil villain costume.
Well, I mean, normal to everybody else.
I know. The fight between Pyrrha and Mercury was animated solely by Monty's apprentice, Shane Newell. And let me tell tell you, I couldn't tell that it wasn't
Yeah,
Bucky choreographing.
does Shane still animate fights for the show to this day?
No, I think that he left after season 4. Or, well, actually, no, I think that he may have left, like, it's somewhere between seasons 3 and 4, like, after things were troubling in productions between seasons 2 and 3.
Oh, yeah.
Basically,
We'll get there.
He was not too happy with the direction the show would take in later years and just decided to bail.
I get that.
Which is why him and Katie kind of split up. While she stuck with the show, he didn't.
Yeah.
Okay, so then Shane took motion data from his Mega Man X Fanimation for when Mercury springboarded off of Pyrrha. Basically during a Mega Man fan video.
So, like the leg upgrade that X uses in the first Mega Man X game.
Yep.
Okay, that's cool.
Ruby Rex can be seen in the background of Pyrrha's fight, sitting in the back row. That freaking T-Rex was everywhere in these first 2 seasons.
Ruby Rex?
Yeah, like the little, a dinosaur with Ruby on its side. That was always in the background of the shot.
That's kind of cute.
Okay, so after speaking about all of that, though, extracurricular is pretty great.
It's an alright episode.
And I love the fight scenes in the first half, showcasing that, yes, the fights are fantabulous and amazing to look at, and it's definitely a good distraction, but like Blake's little side plot of being too tired to do anything and how she puts the mission above her friends and her grades, it's definitely a bit lacking. I definitely say it's not too lacking enough.
Yeah, do you think maybe if that writing got a little bit of a tweak, you think it would have been a little bit better?
Little bit of a tweak.
Yeah, I can see that.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, but overall, this episode's still fine.
It's still pretty good, even though it's not the best.
Yeah, exactly. So with that said, I rated maybe like somewhere in the middle, maybe like around an 8 out of 10.
Exactly. I'd give it maybe a B+, honestly, because I love the fight scenes, love the music, the character interactions, though a bit lacking, especially Jean's funny moment with the guitar.
Oh, yeah.
I will
that
never
was
get that out of my
funny
head.
/ cringe. That's a lot of things.
This episode is mostly there to set up stuff in episodes 6 and 7.
Yeah.
And of course, it does a fine enough job of that.
Yeah.
But of course, now let us get into the last episode for this session of Behind the Screens RWBY Edition with episode 6, Burning the Candle.
Oh, yeah.
Now, this one we got back into the good territory again, my friends.
God.
Let's check this out right now. Ruby sits formally at a table before her thoughts are interrupted by Weiss, who basically puts 2 napkins on the table and asks Ruby to pick which one they should use for the dance. Ruby is sitting depressed, doesn't see a difference. I don't even know why I asked.
Yeah.
Weiss, I love you. Don't ever change. Oh my god. And then, of course, she's still worried about Blake because she never came back from the library. Because I kind of like to think that Blake's been sleeping on the bookshelves this whole time. That she never came back to the room. And she's just
I'm surprised she didn't get kicked out.
Yeah, basically. She's basically not let up her obsession about finding Torchwick and the White Fang. However, Yang, carrying a giant-ass speaker above her head, places it on the ground and says, "Don't worry, Blake will be coming to the dance whether she likes it or not."
Yeah, because Yang has a clever way to do that.
Basically take place on the following day. Of course, we have a very funny interaction between first Yang and Weiss, and before Sun and Neptune come in. Yang says that this dance cannot have doilies. And of course, Weiss says that if she doesn't get doilies, you don't get fog machines.
God damn it!
And I absolutely love that. But then, of course, frickin' Neptune comes in, and since Weiss has fallen completely head over heels for Neptune, because, the prettiest girl in school has to fall for the self-insert characters.
Yep.
Basically says that, oh yeah, fog machines are like the best. Oh my god. It's like...
Jesus.
So bad.
What are we dealing with here?
And then, of course, we have some very nice exposition / comedy between Neptune and Sun and the other girls, basically saying that Sun was trained in Haven, but of course was born in Vacuo, saying that he's not used to wearing suits and ties because the dude always has his shirt open and his abs are always out for everyone to see.
Yep.
See, I would have loved to have had more classroom scenes where we actually see these dudes taking the time to go to the classes. But it's like we're always taking our attention away from that for some reason.
I guess.
The purpose of the scene is ultimately to say that Yang will eventually get Blake to go to the dance. Speaking of Blake, she is still in a sleep-deprived state. She's sitting in the library at one of the computers until a laser pointer appears in front of her.
And of course, Blake being a cat fauna, she falls for it.
Exactly. That's genius. That's
But in all seriousness, no, it is legit funny.
I know. It is one of the funniest scenes in the
I remember
entire
first
series.
watching that episode and saw the lizard let. I'm like, okay, so she's gonna fall because of your cat. And the way she chased after Let, I'm laughing my ass off. I'm like, what the hell am I looking at here? But it's just too funny.
It's so good. Yang lures Blake out of the library with a laser pointer and then yanks her into another classroom. It's so freaking funny. Meanwhile, we finally cut back to Team Juniper. Seems like...
Let's see, when was the last time we did that? Like
a few episodes ago. It seems like the
Lord.
show forgets they're there, except for, of course, Jean and Pyrrha, because they're the most interesting people in this entire show. And then, of course, so Ren be coming out the shower, and this dude wearing nothing but a purple towel, and I think Ren is ripped as hell.
Yeah, I mean, he's a ninja.
I can give Monty credit for this. Ren is another self-insert, there's no doubt about that, but the dude does do a good job with himself.
Yeah, he keeps himself in good physical condition.
Okay, so basically Jean comes out of nowhere, rips Ren back into their room so they can have a bro heart-to-heart. Jean speaks with Ren, someone he considers to be one of his best friends, the brother he never had, considering that Miles and Monty worked so close on the show together for the few years that they worked on the show together, basically shows that I don't think this was Jean talking to Ren. The brother he never had was
Miles talking to Monty.
Exactly. And of course, Ren saying back, and you. It's like, oh, it's so
That's
good.
so sweet.
It's so sweet. And then, of course, Jean asks Ren's advice for women. The dude who doesn't say anything, he's asking for his advice on women. I love it.
What?
And of course he says, how long have you and Nora been together?
We haven't.
Exactly. Nora is over there in a boob shirt from the Rooster Teeth store when they were
That's still in the store?
Well, I mean, it was at the time. It's not anymore. It was basically shoehorning in merchandise. Because he says they're not together. Nora, I said headphones on. And then, of course...
Nora's too adorable. I love her.
I mean, yeah, Miles does get a bit heavy-handed with talking about how great Weiss is. But then, of course, Pyrrha just shuts that all down and says, you know, if you like her so much, just tell her how you feel. You can't get it wrong if it's the truth. I love that line.
That is very legit, and
So true.
I kind of saw that when I kind of jumped out there with my relationship, but that's neither here nor there.
And of course, with his confidence restored, Jean goes to tell Weiss exactly how he feels. But Nora is not the stupid, bubbly airhead we all think she is. She tells Pyrrha to practice what she preaches.
Yeah.
Pyrrha is in love with Jean.
And Nora was the first one to be aware. I mean, it's pretty obvious.
It's pretty dang obvious, but Jean is in love with Weiss. Weiss is in love with Neptune, etc., etc. It's a big love rectangle or something that I do appreciate, but not the most thing. You know, I love how funny it is. I don't like it personally. You know what I'm saying? So basically, Jean then goes over there, but he is crestfallen because he has like a white rose and everything.
Yep.
When he hears Weiss is asking Neptune out before he could get to her, so he was too late.
God damn it!
Oh my goodness! Meanwhile, when Yang and Blake are sitting alone in a classroom, Blake is still unwilling to stop her efforts to find Torchwick and the White Fang, despite the protests of her friends and teammates. Yang tells her that she does not need to stop, merely slow down and not let her obsession take over her life. Yang actually opens up about her time as a child, and it's honestly a really well told.
And honestly, it's one of the best. It's honestly the best part of this episode.
Definitely, I would definitely say so. Basically, that Yang and RWBY grew up in Patch, an island off the coast of Vale. Basically, where their father was a teacher at Signal Academy, and their mother was a huntress who would take on missions. Her name was Summer Rose. Basically, however, one day she went off on a mission and never came back, and she was presumed dead, as y'all remember from the grave that RWBY was at in the very first scene of this entire franchise. Basically, however, Yang then reveals that RWBY and Yang's father had in fact lost another lover once before. RWBY and Yang are not biological sisters.
No.
They're half-sisters.
They have the same dad, but different moms.
Yang's actual mother was the first person to break their father's heart, who had left shortly after she was born under mysterious circumstances.
Yes!
Yang became obsessed with finding her mother to the extent that it basically took over her entire life from the first time she could walk. Day one, as a child, she went to follow every possible lead. Yang journeyed out with Ruby into an unknown area in the middle of the wilderness. Like, I'm not sure where you can find like a woods on an island or whatever, but
I bet the island was kind of big.
yeah, I guess so. Basically, exhausted from the journey, when they do get to the house where the picture was taken that she found, she's too tired to call out for help because the Grimm are about to eat both of them. But who happened to save both of them at the last second? Their Uncle Crow.
Oh,
Amazingly awesome. This dude seems really cool. I hope we actually see him at some point in the entire future. Yang then confides that she still searches for her mother each and every day, but she doesn't recklessly let her obsession control her.
Right.
And basically urges Blake to do the same, and of course helps her calm down for just one night. Blake still says no, even after all that,
taking a turn, woman!
basically causing Yang to get angry. Once again, we see that Yang's eye color changes depending on her mood, which I actually do like about that.
Which makes Yang look like a total human mood ring, but who cares?
Yang claims that in her current state, Blake would not be able to fight Roman Torchwick off, let alone anybody. Yang, instead of pushing back against Blake because she's being very aggressive, Yang hugs Blake and asks her to please slow down, not just for herself, but for the people that care about her. Yang then promises to dance with Blake at the prom if she goes. And I absolutely love that scene.
Yeah, that's adorable.
So much. Blake finally softens up and agrees to go to the damn dance after so much buildup. Oh my God.
Thank God.
On the day of the dance, Yang, Weiss, and Ruby are overjoyed to see that Blake is finally come, and we get to see that each of the Ruby girls is decked out in their own unique dress.
Yeah.
I definitely like that Blake has her different color bow. Basically, Yang's wearing an all-white dress with like those nice shoes. Ruby can barely walk in her heels, which is absolutely funny. How the heck does Weiss fight in high heels?
That's, ask Wonder Woman.
Yeah, basically. Also, Blake and Yang do share a dance before Sun swoops in to sweep Blake off her feet.
Of course.
So nice.
Go Sun.
The sun and the moon dancing together. Absolutely like that. Satisfied with their mission being a complete success, they go off to enjoy the dance. However, they go off to have fun and then leave Ruby by herself until Osmond comes to keep her company, which I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's nice.
Ruby declares to him that she does not like dancing, but Osmond notes the similarities between dancing and fighting.
That is very true.
Which I think is very, very poetic.
And fitting, and I told you that I was right. Fighting is a form of dancing, so there.
Before ending that, events like this help to keep the bonds between friends strong, even though the dance arc is entirely pointless, just meant to pad out the 12 episodes of this season. It does help us get to know the characters on an emotional level.
Exactly.
It fills time, but it fills time in a way that's enjoyable to people like me.
Yeah, and doesn't pad out like other shows.
Yep, the episode ends with two more people arriving at the dance, Emerald and Mercury.
Of course.
To basically set up stuff to happen in the back half of the season. Let me go off for a few more stuff here. Oh, this is actually interesting.
What?
This episode was the first episode announced that Monty himself did not choreograph. Basically, he did none of the choreographing for this episode. All the other crew members did it.
Really?
Which I thought was absolutely nuts. Okay, the shampoo that Ren used in the shower is called Samurai Shampoo. Which I think is pretty funny, not gonna lie. During the dance scene, a pair of DJs can be seen in the background DJing for the dance. That's Daft Punk.
Really?
Which I found out to be so funny because Monty was a fan of Daft Punk's music. Oh my God, that's so freaking funny. When Emerald and Mercury come into the dance at the very end of the episode, their outfit colors resemble that of the Red versus Blue villains, which I think is pretty cool to foreshadow that. It's like, they're wearing the villain colors from the other show. Blake's feline side is further explained with the laser pointer, younger Yang's pigtails in the flashback, because yes, Yang wore pigtails when she was younger.
Of course, she was one of those girls.
They were basically based off Barbara Dunkelman's hairstyle when she was that age for Yang.
Aw, that's adorable!
I think that's really nice. The song that Nora's listening to on her headphones when Jean is talking to Ren is the song Gold from the Season 1 soundtrack. Basically a Yang song singing about Ruby. The text on the chalkboard that is in the scene when Yang and Blake are talking is actually an excerpt from a poem based in Norse mythology.
Really?
AKA the connection that Yang's mom has. The poem translates to, Hugin and Muin fly each day over the spacious earth. I fear for Hugin that he not come back, yet more anxious am I for Muin. So basically showing that Yang's mother has a connection to Norse mythology for her character's backstory.
Yeah.
The symbol that Yang draws on the chalkboard after the flashback is the emblem for basically Crow's character, but it's reversed. His emblem is seen during the flashback sequence behind Crow's shadow as he saves Yang and Ruby. Basically, the incident recounted in this when Ruby and Yang were almost killed by the Beowulfs appears in multiple flashbacks in the official RWBY manga books. Which I'm thinking, like, they wanted to push on this image. This flashback is very important, even though it's only really spoken of once in the entire series. Blake says, I know you look better in a tie. It is, of course, a callback to Sun saying that she looked better without the bow from season 1. Yeah. Very, very nice. So at the end of all this, the dance arc is almost done. I wish we could finish it for you guys, but we have to finish talking about this episode first. Yeah. This episode is a slow burn, I'm not going to lie, with the big flashback with Yang.
Yeah, but, it's the good kind of slow burn.
Yeah,
because it's like a chance for us to slow down, have character interactions, and not focus on a big fight, considering we had one last time.
Exactly.
2 episodes ago.
It basically works to slow down and show the better part of the school life.
Yeah, and again, the flashback that Yang talks about, that's the highlight of the episode, because the way it's drawn, it looks like almost like a painting.
I know. I wish that they would do this in the other seasons, but they don't ever do this kind of... they technically do in season 3, but then they don't do it again. Technically they do it in 4, but it's not as good.
Yeah, there are instances where it does happen, but not to this level.
Yeah, not to this level.
The way it looks is so amazing. Like, you could paint a watercolor painting of that, and you would not see the difference at all.
Exactly. It's like something literally out of the Grimm fairy tales books.
Yeah.
Exactly paying homage to
yeah, and with the way that it's going, and the fact that we got a nice episode, I feel like it's a nice, solid episode to get us halfway through the season. So, all in all with that, I'll give this episode maybe around another 8 out of 10.
Exactly. I would definitely want to praise this episode. I do wish it could have been a little bit better had they trimmed some of the parts a bit more, but I think it did a very good job of balancing the seriousness of Team RWBY and the very goofy antics of Team Juniper at long last, because let's face it, they needed some attention after so long.
Oh, yeah.
We got some excellent bits from Sun and Neptune, from Ren and Jean, from Pyrrha and Nora, from Blake and Yang. We got so many great interactions this episode. I don't know if it would have been better had the episode been longer or shorter.
Maybe shorter?
All I do know is that what comes next is such amazing-osity. This episode has to be given credit for leading into it. So I'll give episode 6 of RWBY Season 2, Burning the Candle, a B+ letter ranking.
A B+. That's a good way to end on it, if I might say so.
Exactly. We've officially gone through halfway of RWBY Season 2. During our next television segment, my friends, we'll be finishing RWBY Season 2, and hopefully the back half of the season is just as good and entertaining as these first 6 episodes were.
Absolutely. And not to mention the fact, don't forget, we tune in next time where we're going back to the MCU for a wartime film?
Captain America, the First Avenger.
Oh yeah, that's going to be fun. But for now, that's it for Behind the Screens. Until next time, I'm Chris.
I'm Mike.
We hope you guys have a great night. Thank you for listening, and take care.
Goodbye, my friends.